Hello guys, welcome to my video about Adobe Fresco, which is a new Adobe app for drawing on your iPad. I am an illustrator and I am now a full-time illustrator, so I actually left my daily job to pursue a career in illustration, and in April this year I got signed with Bright Illustration Agency, which I'm really happy about. So I've been getting loads of new commissions, and just recently I tried to use the new software, Adobe Fresco, when it came out, and I have actually been using it for some of my commission work. So I wanted to share with you what I like about the software and the ways in which you could use it. A really interesting thing about this app is that you can actually combine vector and raster illustration in one document, which I actually find really useful because I do work in both. So this one is an example of vector illustration that I did in Adobe Fresco. So vector illustration in Fresco is really easy to do. When you create a new layer, you can see that you are able to select if you want a pixel layer or a vector layer. So if you click on the vector layer and then you go to vector brushes, you can choose any brush that you like, and also you can edit the brush settings here. So for example, you can change the roundness, the angle, and it's really cool that you can actually try the brush out in this little square before you commit to it. It's very easy and simple. The only thing that I find slightly annoying is that in Adobe Draw, which I used before, you could actually fill the color inside the shape just by clicking inside, which was so super easy. But in this app you actually have to use this paint bucket, so that's just a little bit annoying. And the reason why I do all my artwork in black and white is because I then take it to Illustrator and I change colors on the desktop. I just find it easier than doing the colors on the app straight away. So I prefer coloring after the artwork has been done. What's going on? So yeah, it's actually quite easy to choose a raster brush instead of vector brush. Also, a nice gesture in Adobe Fresco is undo. And to undo, you just tap with two fingers, which I find really easy when you're working, because you can use one hand for drawing and one hand for erasing or undoing. And speaking about erasing, there is also this really nice feature in this app, which is this little button on the screen here. When you press on this button, your brush becomes an eraser and you're able to erase. So it makes workflow much faster. If you make a little mistake and you want to fix it, you don't have to go and click eraser. You can actually erase with the same brush, which is, I find this always much better because it keeps the shape of the object the same. Because I still finish my artwork on computer, I prefer to just do the vector stuff separately and then the raster stuff separately. So this is just a quick overview of the ways to use vectors. And if you wanted to send it to your Adobe Illustrator on the screen, you would go to Publish and Export, and you need to export as a PDF. So you have a few different formats here, which is PNG, JPEG, PSD and PDF. I wish they had Adobe Illustrator format like they had in Draw, but they haven't got it. But they do have PDF, and PDF does let you have all the layers when you export it to Illustrator. So when you click export, I can just share it with my computer, and then I can open this file in Illustrator. And also a really nice thing that I really appreciate about this app is the time-lapse export. So everything that you draw is actually recorded, and then if you want to share your work in progress on Instagram or on your social media, it's very, very easy to do. And now I'm going to show you some of the raster stuff I did on Adobe Fresco. And I suppose if you compare Fresco to Sketch, which is the earlier Adobe app for raster drawing, I think that Fresco is so much better. Basically, for some reason, the brush controls are much more precise, and you're able to get much more precise strokes. And for me it's great because I like to have texture in my artwork. So I do a lot of children's illustration, and I really like the textured handmade feel. So it's really nice that first of all you can have as many layers as you like. Like, look how many layers I have here. It's like about 100. And on Sketch I used to run out of layers all the time, which was really annoying. And also the nice thing is that you have all the blending modes here, like on Photoshop. And you have opacity, so each of these layers are really easily editable, which is a great thing for commercial work, because very often the client can go back to me and ask me to change just one part of the drawing, and if that's on a separate layer, it's so much easier to change than doing it all from scratch. So the raster brushes in Fresco are really, really nice. So you have loads of options. I'm not sure, oh, there they are. So you've got basic brushes, you've got comics brushes, you've got ink and lettering brushes, and they're all really, really lovely brushes. And also something that I really like is that you can import your own brushes into here. So I use a Creative Cloud subscription, so my subscription comes with Kyle Webster's brushes. And there are a few brushes that I always use because Kyle has got hundreds of them, so I've made a folder with my favorite brushes. Oops. And it's really nice that I'm able to just use the brushes I always use, and they're all here. So in the same way, you're able to export your document as a PSD, which is great because you can send it directly to Photoshop straight away. I started with quite a rough sketch. I'm gonna show you. And first I used quite a thick pencil outline. And that was my first time using Fresco, so I was really just exploring and discovering how it all works. So the outline I did was quite thick. And then I sort of tried coloring in, and this you can see here is using blending modes. So different layers with blending modes, and then adding more textures and details. I'm just gonna show you the brushes and sort of how nicely they work. So what I have been doing a lot is adding textures with the pencil, and then changing the blending mode of the object, of the layer. So for example, you could change opacity and you could really build up textures this way. It's very easy to erase with the brush. And again, if you want to add lots of textures to your illustration, this is a really, really nice way to do it. So you can see I did some lettering here. And because I just started using this app, I haven't quite explored all the brushes that are on here. I just feel like it has such better control than in Sketch. The great thing about Fresco is that you can create any file size that you like, and also you can set up any resolution of file that you like. If you wanted to create your own custom size, you can go to Create New and then New Size from Format, and you will actually see a panel which is just like in Photoshop. So if you wanted to, you could put any resolution that you want. So you could even go to 600 and you can put any file size that you like. And I find it really, really useful. So I know that many people like to use Procreate, and lots of people are comparing Procreate and Adobe Fresco. But I never got into Procreate, to be honest, because I always work with Photoshop and Illustrator, and I have a Creative Cloud subscription. So when Procreate first came out, it didn't have the option of exporting all the layers to Photoshop or Illustrator, so which Sketch and Draw did. That's why initially I started to use Adobe Sketch and Adobe Draw, and I just found them much simpler to use. Because I already have a full version of Photoshop and I can use it on my iPad with an AstroPad app, so I didn't actually feel like I needed all these extra options that Procreate had. Thank you for watching my video, and if you would like to see more about my life as an illustrator and the projects I do and the tools and techniques that I use, then do subscribe to my new channel. Thank you for watching again, and see you soon.